All right, welcome back, everybody, to the deep dive. We're diving into some really, I think, fascinating stuff today.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about teamwork
Okay.
and more specifically, when teamwork goes wrong,
Right.
which, I mean, let's be honest,
Mentions
it happens to the best of us, right?
all the time.
I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
We've all been in those group projects.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it's at school or work or wherever.
Absolutely.
Where it just feels like you're pulling teeth to get people to kind of, work together.
Yeah.
So the research that you've done points to sort of three main problems, right?
Yeah. So we've got the classic colleagues who just flat out refuse to collaborate.
Right.
We've got the ones who they're sitting on all the information, they're hoarding it, they don't want to share.
The information hoarders.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And then, of course, we've got the folks who just don't pull their weight.
The free riders.
Yeah, the free riders.
I mean, I'm sure everyone listening has encountered at least one of these scenarios, right?
Definitely. I mean, these are so common.
Yeah.
And the good news is that they're not unsolvable.
Right.
There are things you can do
Absolutely.
to improve these situations.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's take these one at a time.
All right.
And let's start with this whole refusal to collaborate thing.
Okay.
I mean, sometimes it seems pretty obvious,
Yeah.
someone's just being difficult.
Right.
But are there some, less obvious reasons why someone might resist working with others?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what's going on there.
Sometimes it could be, like you said, just being difficult. But a lot of times, it boils down to fear.
Okay.
They might be afraid of losing control
Right.
over their part of the project, or, maybe they don't trust other people to do a good job.
Yeah, or maybe they've had bad experiences in the past.
Exactly. And sometimes, it's not even about trust. It's about, like, have you ever been in a situation where you just feel like you're speaking different languages?
Oh, totally.
Work style wise?
Like someone who's a total planner.
Yes.
They need everything laid out in advance.
Exactly.
Versus, someone who just dives in and figures it out as they go.
And they're both valid ways of working.
Right.
But when those two collide, whoo boy.
That's when the sparks can fly.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily, intentional negativity, but it
Right.
can feel like you're constantly
Butting heads.
Yeah, just butting heads all the time.
So how do you bridge that gap, though?
Well, I think the first thing is, and I know it sounds kind of cliche, but
Yeah.
communication.
Communication.
It's so important, right?
Yeah, but how do you actually do that?
Yeah.
Like when it feels like you're starting from completely different planets.
Right. And one technique that I found really helpful is it's called active listening.
Okay.
And this means
So you're not just waiting for your turn to talk.
Exactly. You're really trying to understand their perspective.
Okay.
And one thing that can really help with that
Yeah.
is reflecting back
Right.
what you're hearing.
Gotcha.
So, if they're saying, I'm really concerned about X,
Yeah.
you might say something like, it sounds like you're really concerned about X. Is that right?
Right.
And that can often just kind of...
Right. So they know that you're
Yeah,
hearing them.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that can de-escalate a lot of situations.
Absolutely.
And then you can kind of find that common ground.
And then you can move forward from there.
Yeah, that's great advice. It's so easy to get caught up in your own head, right?
Oh, for sure.
And forget to really hear
right.
what the other person is saying.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's move on to another one of these teamwork troubles.
All right.
And this one is it's so frustrating. It's information hoarding.
Oh, yes.
It's like you need this crucial piece of information to move forward
Right.
on a project.
Yeah.
And it's locked away.
Yeah.
With a colleague who just refuses to share.
Yeah.
Why do people do that?
I think, information hoarding can be so frustrating.
It is.
And it often stems from, some pretty deep-seated issues like insecurity, a desire for control or power. And sometimes it's not even just the individual. Sometimes it's the company culture.
Oh, interesting.
Imagine a company where promotions are very heavily based on individual performance.
Right.
Then that might incentivize people to keep information for themselves.
To get ahead.
Yeah, exactly. To try to get ahead, to try to get that edge.
Right.
So sometimes, the problem is bigger than just one person.
It's systemic, yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
It makes you wonder, though, like, are we ever guilty
Oh, yeah.
of hoarding information
I think so.
without realizing it?
I think we all do it to some extent.
Yeah.
We get so focused on our own tasks
Right.
that we forget.
We forget to loop other people in.
Exactly. And the things that we've learned along the way.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Something to think about.
Yeah.
Okay, so when we do encounter someone
Yeah.
who's, holding back information,
Right.
um, how how do we encourage more like open sharing?
Well, I think one of the most important things is transparency.
Okay.
If you're in a leadership position, then you can really advocate for open communication
Right.
and create shared resources that
Like,
everyone can access.
so that the information is available to
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah, make it easy
Right.
for
Right.
people to share and access information.
Makes sense.
But even if you're not in a leadership position,
Yeah.
you can lead by example.
Right.
When you freely share your knowledge,
Mhm.
you're demonstrating the benefits of that.
Right. Right.
Faster problem solving,
Right.
less duplicated effort.
People aren't reinventing the wheel.
Exactly, and better results for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's move on to the last one of these sort of teamwork trouble areas, and that's the person who just doesn't pull their weight.
Yes.
We've all encountered this,
Absolutely.
right? I mean, it's like the classic group project
Yeah, the classic group project nightmare.
nightmare.
Where you're, stuck doing all the work.
Right.
While someone else is just coasting along.
Right, and then they get the same grade.
And they get to share in the glory.
Yeah, it's so frustrating.
Absolutely.
But I guess it's important to kind of figure out,
Yeah.
is this just someone who's, maybe they don't have their skills,
Right.
they're in over their head,
Right.
or are they just trying to get away with not
Yeah.
working?
Are they intentionally shirking responsibility?
Right, right.
So I think that's the first step, is trying to figure out.
Okay, so how do you do that? How do you figure that out?
Well, I think a lot of it comes down to
Yeah, yeah.
observation
Right.
and communication.
So you're watching to see, like,
Yeah.
are they struggling? Are they asking a question?
Exactly.
Or are they just like, on their phone the whole time?
Yeah. Are they engaged?
Right.
Are they making an effort?
Yeah, yeah. And I guess, I've definitely been on both sides of this, right?
Right.
Like I've definitely been in situations where I was just so overwhelmed with other
And we've
stuff
all been there.
that I just couldn't
Where you just don't have the
contribute
control
as much as I would have liked.
to give your all to everything.
Right. And then there's the times when it's just like, come on, you're not even trying.
Yeah, where it's pretty clear
Right.
that someone's just trying to skate by.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's not always black and white.
Right.
But, sometimes it's pretty clear.
Okay, so let's say it is clear that someone is not really contributing.
Okay.
How do you address that?
Well, I think the first thing is to try to address it directly
Right.
with the individual.
To just have a conversation.
Yeah, just say, hey, I've noticed
Right.
that you haven't been pulling your weight.
So you're not just going behind their back. Right. You're giving them the opportunity to explain themselves.
Yeah, I mean, there might be something going on
Right.
that you're not aware of.
Right.
But you want to be clear and specific
Okay.
about your concerns.
And set like expectations and deadlines
Yeah,
and all that.
very clear about.
And I guess if they're struggling,
Yeah.
you could offer support.
Yeah, offer support.
Offer to help.
Like maybe they just need a little extra guidance.
Exactly.
Or maybe they're just missing one piece.
Right. But what if
Right.
they're just not
Yeah, what if they're
taking it seriously?
just not engaged?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's when
Then what?
documentation is really important.
Okay.
Keep a record.
So you're like
Yeah.
writing things down. You're
Yeah.
keeping track of.
Keep track of the issues.
Okay. Yeah.
And if necessary, bring it to your manager's attention.
Right. So it's not.
And it's not about tattling.
Right. It's not
True.
trying to get someone in trouble.
It's about fairness
Right. Right.
and accountability for the whole team.
So that one person isn't bringing everyone else down.
Exactly. And, at the end of the day,
Yeah.
building a truly collaborative environment
Mm.
is a journey, not a destination.
Oh, I like that.
Right. It takes effort. It
Yeah.
takes open communication.
It's ongoing.
It's not like you just arrive
Yeah, and a willingness
to adapt, to be flexible.
and to keep working at it.
Yeah.
Right.
So instead of viewing these teamwork challenges as like insurmountable obstacles,
Right.
what if we saw them as opportunities to improve communication?
To actually make things better.
Yeah, and strengthen
And-
our team's dynamics.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Right.
Because I think, we often think, oh, this is just how it is. This is just, it's a bad team.
He gets stuck.
Right.
Yeah.
But
it
it doesn't have to be that way.
No, it doesn't.
Right.
It can get better.
You can always work
Yeah.
to improve things.
Absolutely.
Okay, well that is fantastic advice.
I hope so.
And I think, it gives everyone listening
Yeah.
kind of a framework to approach these tricky situations
Tools.
that we all encounter from
Yeah,
time to time.
for sure.
So thank you so much for sharing your insights.
Absolutely. It was my pleasure.
And for everyone listening, think about, as you go back to your work,
Yeah.
to your teams, to your projects,
Right.
what are some of the things that you can do?
Yeah. What resonated with you?
Right.
What can you put into practice today?
Maybe it's trying that active listening technique,
Yeah.
or maybe it's just, being more intentional about
Yeah.
sharing your own knowledge,
Right.
or having those difficult conversations.
Right.
But just remember, you're not alone in this.
Yeah.
And building a stronger collaborative team
It's worth it.
is absolutely a goal
Yes.
worth striving for.
I agree.
All right, well, thanks again, and we'll catch you next time on the Deep Dive.
Sounds good.